Thank you very much, SEBI and NISM, for giving me this opportunity. It's to the credit of both these institutions and the exchanges and the mutual fund community that, as chairman of SEBI has repeatedly said, in the last 5 years, the unique investor community has gone up from 3.8 crore to over 14 crore. That's a seminal achievement. So let me start over there, the expansion in this community. One of the big fears for this community now is, are we losing the favor of foreign investors? Does that worry you? I mean, whether it is the currency market or the bond market or the rupee market, the fear that FPIs have kind of sidelined us for the past 2 years. Anything that SEBI is doing to just make them feel more welcome?
I think this is not really an issue of being welcomed or not welcomed. I think the frameworks, Indian regulations are well in place, and FPI's decisions are contingent on how they look at it, different markets and returns, and also look at earning growth. They also look at currencies. And they also look at geopolitical factors. And they are, in a position to come in and go out as well. Now, if you are really looking at, the FPIs are there to the extent of $900 billion invested into Indian market. And yes, there has been, $18 billion movement over a period, outflows over the period. But it also depends upon cyclical factors. So on regulations, we can only say two things. One is making our markets deeper and more diversified, especially the debt markets, the corporate bond markets, and so that, to some extent, it will be within, not pro-cyclical, but other approach can be taken. The people can shift also from equity to debt, depending upon the situations, depending upon the circumstances. The second issue, of course, is, are there any frictions which we can improve structurally, whether we can improve the market? So one area which we have really looked at it very closely is the registration process. How we can have, registration which is faster, digitizing the whole process, looking at, whether the FPI KYC across SEBI and RBI can be done very quickly. We've introduced the concept of Swagat FIs,
yes,
bringing in greater amount of certainty in registration period over a period of time, less paperwork, more flexibility. And going forward, I think that particular thing will also expand. Digitizing, digital signatures, even otherwise also allaying certain fears that they had following the, the threshold and other levels which were brought in, and they were also relaxed. So other points, of course, we are looking at very closely is netting. And I think the consultation paper will be out very, very soon on this, to allow them to net in some respects so that there is a greater operational efficiency while they operate.
When do you think we may see us getting closer to it? I guess there'll be some conversations with the banking system also on that. So, should we expect it sooner rather than later?
Maybe it is out today.
Oh, excellent. I think that deserves a round of applause. That's a big headline you've given us. I will expect more in the course of the conversation. Actually, what I wanted to ask you was, we are up again, there's an upcoming budget.
Now, there was also, for example, Samara mentioned, earlier that we are looking at, closing auction session.
Yes.
Very closely. And I should presume that that circular will be out also, possibly today.
Ooh,
Or
another round of applause. So we are getting two headlines over here from the chairman. So
I'm
I'm
not
going to
sure.
ask you an
I'm not too sure, but they're very close to issuing it.
I mean, if it's today or tomorrow, but the point is that, Samara had to speak about closing auctions and SEBI is ready with it, shows an extremely proactive regulator. And many congratulations for that. But, like I said, an unfair question, because we have the upcoming budget. One of the complaints you get from FPIs on our channel is the withholding tax. You've been at North Block, now Kartavya Bhavan. You think there is a case to withdraw it simply because now we have to fight for FPI funds more?
I would not like to comment on, that's not my prerogative indeed, and this is not the forum also to express on this issue, close to the budget.
Okay, fair enough. I take your point that it was your former responsibility, not your current responsibility. But, speaking of FPIs, and just to conclude that conversation, clearly valuations are an issue. I mean, we're running at 22 times when earnings are growing at probably single digit. And therefore, that constantly FPIs are coming and telling us that. One reason which comes from the market is that this highly differential capital gains tax between equity and debt, and this big tidal wave of investors who have come from 2020 to 2025 largely have gone to equity because people are not planning asset allocation depending on their risk appetite. They're not planning asset allocation because of their age. I know retired people now going to, direct index funds, equity funds, simply because the tax is less. So you think that this is now becoming counterproductive? Purely as an academic and someone who has been in Kartavya Bhavan before, do you think this at least merits a debate? This very wide difference between capital gains on equity and fixed income.
Again, I would like to avoid my thoughts on this issue close to the budget. I think you are already, different people have been talking about it, and Finance Ministry will take a view, and it's the Honorable Finance Minister who has to take a view.
Oh, yes,
the end of it.
Okay. Let me put the ball directly in SEBI's arena itself. Can you give us a third headline? You already told us last week NSE IPO announcement may, come very soon, and the settlement issue is something you've taken in your stride. You've taken a call on. Can we hear when the final NOC comes? Since you're in a mood to give headlines.
No, I mean, I've already indicated, so there is no more further information.
No, the NOC comes soon, like this week.
No, I said within this month.
Okay, fair enough. I was hoping you would say within this week. That's why I asked you. Okay, sir, let me now get to the other issue of corporate bonds. The corporate bond market, from time immemorial, from the time I joined journalism, I'm asking questions on when will we have a more vibrant corporate bond market. Anything up your sleeve now?
So first of all, corporate bond market is more vibrant than before. So whether that should be still more vibrant, and I agree, it will be still more vibrant.
I mean, we trade only, we hold to maturity most of the bonds. Trading is less.
That's not correct.
And even issuance, mostly AA or A above, not below.
I'm afraid that's not correct. It's not that completely HTM. There is, bonds are being traded, and there is, you can check the volume. Maybe we would like volume to be higher. Maybe we would like, and I think the whole, our both SEBI and RBI working closely on bond derivatives and bringing in an extra, opportunity to look at it, because secondary trading in bonds is taking place, but it needs to be much, much better. There are certain constraints. So if you really look at the size of the bond market, I indicated, it used to be, about 40% a few years back of the total bank credit to industry and services. It's now climbed to 60%. So the 56 lakh crore are outstanding bonds. Certainly they are, lower than what it is there in China or other places. And we have a constraint that we have not too many still issuers. So number of issuers need to expand. Similarly, there has to be a number of different rated and more than, A-rated and below bonds must also come in to give the proper yield curve. And those efforts are continuing. Third important issue is that even if we say that the retail participation in bonds, that we have facilitated by bringing down the threshold from 1 lakh rupees to 10,000. And online bond platform providers are providing liquidity and availability to the retail investors. But of course, we need to do far more. So in terms of education and awareness regarding corporate bonds at the retail level, certainly it is largely missing. And therefore, we need to have something like you had that mutual fund Sahi hai, something like a campaign to go around and also make people educative about what it entails to invest in bonds. Because you need not always say that the bonds you have to hold till maturity. You can also dispose it. The question is whether the secondary market will offer that purchase and sale. We did give liquidity window facility saying that you can give a put options. But so far, not much movement has taken place. Not many issuers have come forward. Still, the market is OTC market. We have also provided the platforms. We have an RFP platform at the primary stage and the RFQ platform at the secondary stage. And many steps have been taken to improve transparency in the market. Secondary market trading has improved, but far from what is desired. And I believe that bond derivatives will be another way of also creating further liquidity and depth in this market.
SEBI has done a lot, but every now and then there are issuances. I don't want to name names. There were 2 companies where disclosures were even pulled up by the courts for not making disclosures, at the right time. Now, of course, on other things like entities and fin-influencers, you have Parva, as you said. What are you looking at in terms of improving disclosures, higher penalties, or, as you point out, institutions like Parva?
I think one normal thing we should not be really, accusing SEBI of is the lack of disclosures.
No.
I think this institution, SEBI as an institution, if you look at it over a lot of period of time, has given every possibility, every system for the disclosures. And we constantly say that this is a disclosure-based regime. Even for that matter, when valuations, it's clearly, we don't look at the valuations because you have to let the markets work. Our job is not to become the market, but let the markets work, where there are buyers and sellers and the expertise and, the traders and the speculators and the arbitrators. So we have to really be, very clear that disclosures, wherever possible, we make. And so therefore, we make disclosures, we make compulsory disclosures wherever for primary purpose in terms of IPOs and FPOs. There are disclosures for corporate governance, all kinds of disclosures. The companies need to disclose. So an LODR has been amended to facilitate such disclosures. Materiality of disclosures have been there. So I think on disclosures, SEBI's record is not of a recent origin, but of a very longish origins. And therefore, this market has actually developed.
No,
now,
I agree with you.
Sometimes, of course, there was an issue of excessive nature of, the very lengthy disclosures. And now the people are wanting, how quickly we can grasp it. And we have heard their voice. For example, in case of IPOs, we said, and I think the very soon we will be notifying it, but the board has approved it, that we will have a draft abridged prospectus whenever the IPOs are issued, and there will be a QR code. People can access it in all these advertisements. So the draft abridged prospectus also we will define very clearly all the factors which are needed to be disclosed for very quick glance by the media as well as by the investors.
So to be fair,
We want more active participation of investors in terms of their understanding of what it contains. But we have to also educate always investors, and so is your duty to educate them, is to not to have always a herd mentality, to really look at their exposure, do a bit of their research. Today there are opportunities available of a very high order in order to really find information and find all kinds of information. So therefore, before they take investment decisions, they should be clear where they're investing.
no, I like the backhand shot. Lobbing it back to the media. We are using agentics to, derive main points from, IPO disclosures and other large disclosures. Maybe a more educated agentic from SEBI will be more helpful in that direction. But let me come to the other issue you raised in your speech as well. SEBI has been excellent in ensuring that capital market does its main job, allow companies to raise capital. And the latest strides in including REITs as, to be defined as equity goes a very, is a very large step. And then now, of course, InvITs also. Can you inform us as to what are the other steps in the direction if you have to think of a second round of improvement of capital raising from the market? Anything on your mind?
We have a whole range of measures. And we have different kinds of markets, and we have different types of risks which are associated with the market. We want to really make it available as a very diversified market with diversified regulations, keeping with the view the diverse needs and the diverse risk profile of the investors. And we should not have always a one-size-fits-all. For example, the investor protection. The investors themselves are of a different types. What it means for an institutional investors may be different from a retail investors. What it will mean for an accredited investor will be different from an ordinary investor who is, So therefore, we have to look at, in derivatives, we have to look at it, well, who is really, who knows the market. So there is an investor education. We have also to see that what markets the investors will be more comfortable with. And there could be a light touch regulation for those areas where we feel the risk is well understood by the investors. Like, for example, AIFs. And therefore, we have an AIF accredited investor scheme only. And we are going to liberalize the way the accreditation is granted, because that itself will speed up the process of such investors to quickly come to the market. And there will be other markets where we will be more intensive in regulations because there is so much of retail money is involved.
I'm aware that we are running out of time. A final question, these new batch of investors that have come, especially the later ones, and it's almost a flood now in the last 4-5 years. They are coming at a time when valuations don't seem to be working in their favor at all. Does it worry you? Do you want to warn investors about valuations and earnings growth? Does it make you cautious?
My views on valuations are well known because I've answered these questions at various forums. Valuation is in fact the most difficult question ever encountered by human beings, and they have never got the real story. How about it? Valuation can be quantitative. The methodology can be quantitative, but it is still subjective.
Yes.
Because if the valuations is based on the future, what you look at the future means there is no such theory to say this is the way it is going to be future. Future is about beliefs. And different people believe it differently. And that is why you have bulls and the bears. And they keep fighting in the stock markets in order to determine what's going on. And so therefore, how is it that, such a people with fantastic degrees, they take wrong decisions?
That's true. No, I agree with you.
I am reminded of the seminal work of Mr. Daniel Kahneman, and someone was asking me, some young man was asking me this question. No, I think the lady. And she's teaching. And I told her that please teach your students what Daniel Kahneman told about the prospect theory, about the way people's minds work. People's minds do not work in the way we thought that they will be most efficient, even if they are well educated.
Yes.
And so therefore panic selling takes place when they should be patient. And we are talking of patient capital. We should the power of compounding, in which the people should stay and not really try to do that. And many of the frequent day traders and others, they've realized to their horror that what they wanted that to make a big money, they haven't. But there are others who are advising, who have built up very big portfolios, how the proper investing and choosing the right investing and staying on has helped them. Nobody can advise. People are different advisors. People have to take their advice. Nobody can say, I am the advisor and my advice is the best one. And the least of all that of SEBI chairman, who is not allowed to invest anyway.
I think a SEBI chairman who is reading Daniel Kahneman's Thinking Fast and Slow and expounding on that gives me the assurance that we are in very safe hands. The capital markets are in very safe hands. Thank you very much, Mr. Pandey, for giving us so many headlines and for continuing to be a very able steward of the capital markets. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.